Prepare to be captivated by the business story of the week, hosted by me, Shaheen Shan. Join us on a journey through the twists and turns of entrepreneurial triumphs and setbacks. Immerse yourself in the narrative and witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. This is Business Story of the Week.
And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your co-host, Joshua, and here we are again today where we unravel stories of perseverance, struggle, and succeeding through those perseverance, innovating their space, and being the leader in all that, and to inspire you in your next entrepreneurial journey, but not just your business journey, but also in life. Today, we have quite the guest for us that I'm pretty excited to have on here. Jodi Scott is a pioneering force from from the health and wellness industry. With over 2 decades of experience, Jodi is armed with a master's degree in health psychology and a background in pre-med, and she specializes in psychoneuroimmunology. I practiced that 100 times, guys. Under her leadership, Spry Life introduced alternative modalities like cannabis and psychedelics to emerging markets. Her goal now, today, is to inspire positive change through plant powered living and alternative medicine. Today, Jodi invites us to reflect on our well being and consider holistic healing. Jodi, it is lovely. You are looking lovely. Thank you for being on the show today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Joshua. I really appreciate being here with you today.
Fantastic. Jodi, I always like to start these things, like the audience and listeners know this very well. I like to start from the very beginning. What happened, in your childhood, perhaps? So maybe something that happened when you were younger, maybe throughout your life, in your career. What were the pivotal moments that got you into the first of all the health and wellness industry, and why specifically psychoneuroimmunology? What is the story of Jodi Scott?
That's a lot to unpack there. That's great.
Please.
So, there you go. So, I grew up in the military. And so, my
Hmm.
mom, sister, and I, and brother and family were very close. So, we started out as a very close family, moving around every 3 months to sometimes 3 years. And we remember very clearly my mom loved plants, had such a passion for plants, but we moved so
Oh,
often that she couldn't grow a garden because she couldn't take it with her. So
right.
she always had
Oh,
potted plants everywhere, potted plants.
oh,
So when we would move, we'd be in the car with all these potted plants, hitting our faces, to make it to the next move. But in conjunction with that, there was
hmm,
always big boxes of body care. And we were like, Mom, why aren't the movers taking these boxes of beauty care products? Like
hmm.
here we have plants hitting us in the face. There's no room in the car as it is, and we're
Uh-huh.
annoyed and upset that we're moving. And she's like, well,
Uh-huh.
they're flammable. The movers can't take anything that's flammable. And my sister and
Okay.
I were like, why would you put anything flammable on your skin? She's like, well, that's just what you do. And we're like, ew, that cannot be safe. And then we also were like, and by the way, Mom, you've had that stuff for like the last 5 moves. I highly recommend you just throw it away. And
Mhm.
so it really started my sister and I's journey of like, what are ingredients? How do they matter? And
Right,
we were
right,
swimmers and runners. So we were
right.
athletes. So we were mindful of the connection of food and performance. And
Wow.
so, in the early days, being on military bases, we would go travel distances to go find health food stores, which didn't exist at the time. And then when
Wow.
we were in our undergrad, we were in Austin, and that's where the first Whole Foods was born. And so we started working at health
Right.
food stores and really interacting with the customers in terms of
Hmm.
the products that they were looking for, and then becoming an ingredient junkie, if you will, and always reading the labels, and then identifying that this was good, but it wasn't great. There was
Hmm.
extracts, there was still a lot of fillers. um,
Hmm.
and so my sister and I's passion for product development began then. Now I got my undergrad in psychology and biology, and I was very passionate about the mind body relationship, master's in health psychology, first master's health psychology program in the country,
Uh-huh.
training resident physicians on the biopsychosocial model to really help the improvement of performance, meaning that, rather than just giving your patient a medication, saying, hey, what are some of
Yes.
the obstacles or barriers around
Yes.
them really getting the most out of this medicine? Perhaps they need to
Mm-hmm.
change their diet, their lifestyle, some other
Yes.
habits in their life.
Uh-huh.
And so, fast forward, we call that integrative and holistic medicine. And
Yes.
at the same time, my sister was studying to be an herbalist and a midwife. And that's when
Oh,
she
wow.
learned the process of extracting from plants and the
Mm-hmm.
incredible medicinal properties that came from getting plants in their purest sense. And,
Right.
marry that with my mom's love for plants, with, my passion for medicine. We really started having fun formulating. And we were just sharing it with friends and family in the early days. And
Mm-hmm.
people were like, we're getting incredible results. Like we've had eczema or my son's
Wow.
had eczema and was afraid to leave the home. And now this balm, this salve that you've made is the first thing that's working. And so it
Wow.
caught my attention to the first aid space specifically. And what I
Mm-hmm.
also recognized was if you opened up, here we had like natural cleaning products, natural beauty care and personal care products. We were eating organic food, but we opened up our first aid cabinet and it was full of chemicals, like full of it. We made this
Oh.
exception that, Neosporin and hydrocortisone and calamine were the only things that could get the job
Mm-hmm.
done. And then we found out that the natural consumer in general, we weren't alone. The natural consumer was willing to abandon their natural ethos because they were
Mm-hmm.
told that these items were the only ones that could get the job done for their skincare
Right.
problems. And then the
Mm-hmm.
conventional consumer was like, I've got chronic skin conditions, and the OTC space really only accommodates to acute skin conditions. Used for five
Wow.
days, 7 days. If symptoms persist, then they needed to discontinue use. And so,
Yes.
or it would be toxic and they had to go to their physician. And so, this is where a whole world opened up. And we said, can we
Mm-hmm.
make plant based alternatives that are superior in efficacy and bring some
Mm-hmm.
sustainability? And that's how Green Goo was born.
Wow, fantastic. And of course, can you make alternatives that aren't flammable, right? In the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
place.
yeah. Remove
So,
petroleum. Let's start with that.
let's start with that. I love the story. That's why I always like to ask these, the journeys and where it all began. I love the background, as a military family, moving around, and your love for plants. You mentioned there that your sister was a herbalist and a midwife. We'll get there in a second. I want to keep talking about Green Goo, of course, but I do want to talk a little bit more about psychoneuroimmunology because as far as I know, this is exploring the interaction between the mind, the nervous system, and the immune system. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask, how does this play into what you guys do when it comes to plant-powered medicine and alternative medicine, and like really holistic healing? You specialize in this field. So, what does psychoneuroimmunology do for Green Goo?
Well, what's fascinating about the area of psychoneuroimmunology, when I first started in this area of research and understanding, it was very much anecdotal, meaning it wasn't well appreciated in the medical field. And it was
Mm-hmm.
more, I heard this story and this person had this experience. And now we have
Right.
so much data to support the relationship between your mind, your body, and your immune system. And for the
Mm-hmm.
first time in terms of skincare, we're seeing, the Journal of Behavioral Medicine, the Journal of Dermatology, they're starting to put research behind and show the results of mindfulness and that practicing certain kinds of mindfulness, call it gratitude or consciousness, can have a positive impact on your skin. And more
Right.
recently, we're learning that the skin is far more involved in our homeostasis and our health and wellness. Like historically, it's
Yes.
like it's our largest organ, right? And we just thought it just is
Right.
here to protect us. And
Mm-hmm.
now they're saying that our skin may be a neuroimmunological immune endocrine organ in itself, and that it's
Wow.
far more involved in our homeostasis than we thought before. And so I am loving, for me personally, this full circle moment in my, career, my passion, bridging
Mm-hmm.
Green Goo
Mm-hmm.
to what I just so
Mm-hmm.
believe in, which is this relationship that we can have with our overall health and wellness. And we're just at the beginning, and we've been formulating with this in mind, but I don't think we
Yeah.
really knew the power of what we're formulating until most recently and how that can impact your overall health.
I love that. And that was what I was going to mention, actually. It felt like it all fell into place. And it felt like, you said it came full circle. It was something that you were pursuing, something that you love, but something that you also encountered in your career that just connected all the dots, basically. And I love that the skin, we're making groundbreaking discoveries, like it makes sense, of course, that the skin is a huge part of our homeostasis. I learned another new word today. And of course, right? A wholeness, a holistic whole, it makes sense that the skin affects everything that we do, especially, in general, in our bodies and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
And even longevity, I want to add that too there as well.
oh,
That's a
yes,
big buzzword right now. And, historically we looked at our skincare as, beauty. And if you look good and you have a glow, and so a lot of products, were designed around how you look. And I think there's something in our DNA that now that I'm better understanding is that we recognize that when someone looks healthy or they have that glow, that they are healthy. And so we're finding that there's more research in terms of taking care of our skin as our largest organ, and that notion of like food for your skin, nutrients for your skin, because it does impact your longevity. And
right.
so it's just another area for us to look at this like holistic perspective of our health and wellness.
And that's fantastic. Longevity as well, going hand in hand with our skincare, our food care, our food choices, so to speak. And of course, there's this massive movement in the skin and beauty care products today. I mean, I feel like Korea is at the forefront of this, where they're pushing all of these all of these methods, and I think even more so now, it's important to have these alternative, much more healthier methods when it comes to taking care of our skin. Um, so now I want to get into that, because you mentioned your family's love for plants, for herbs very early on. Your sister went on to become a certified herbalist, a midwife, and where you bring your mother along with you, of course, in your journey as well. Together, you guys ignited a botanical revolution, right? So you birthed multiple brands, you birthed multiple products, including today the renowned Green Goo, the Green Goo First Aid, the Southern Butter. Am I correct when I'm saying that? The
Yep,
Southern
you got
Butter
it. You
and the
got it.
groundbreaking Good Goo CBD line. Jody, talk to us about all of this. First of all, what is Green Goo? How is it emerging? How is it revolutionizing the botanical and health wellness industry?
So, what's really different about what we develop is the process. So, we are not bringing pre made ingredients or extracts that
Right.
are already on the market. We actually bring the plants to our manufacturing facility where we take them through this extraction process, yield high amounts of the medicinal properties, and then put these unique oils, these unique blends into all of these products. So you can't get this concentration or combination of ingredients anywhere. And how these
Mm-hmm.
plants work together is very important. So, how plantain works by itself has one property, how yarrow works by itself has another, but then you bring them together and how they operate for wound care. And so we bring this across all of our brands, this process. And that's why you get the results that you get. For example, this was a challenge for us in terms of trying to scale this concept, because we knew that
Right.
if we changed the process, it would change the performance. And we didn't want
Of course.
that. because we were
Mm-hmm.
getting the results. And,
Mm-hmm.
a perfect example is our dry skin formula. It took a customer to use this product, and his son had eczema. And he was the advocate for us getting a manufacturer. And he called us and he said,
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time my son has not had to use a prescription medication. He's like, I do not
Wow.
know how we're going to scale this, but the world needs this. And this product has been used by John Hopkins in their scleroderma and skin condition department for over a decade. And so
Wow.
my goal, or my family's goal, is not only to first give you superior results. We want
Right.
efficacy first. We want to make your life more comfortable, but then we also want to make your world and this planet cleaner by bringing
Mm-hmm.
sustainable and clean, fair trade sourced ingredients and packaging. You talked about, it's not just about what we shouldn't be putting on our bodies and skin, which is the phthalates, the parabens, the,
Mm-hmm.
formaldehyde, the petroleum. I mean, phthalates is the number one produced chemical in this world. And our country alone produces 1 billion pounds of them a year.
Oh my
And these are
goodness.
endocrine disruptors. And not only is it disrupting our homeostasis and, causing
Wow.
challenges for us internally, it's impacting the environment. We wash this stuff on the water, it goes in our water system, it goes into our food. And so this is an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to change the planet by changing what
Yes.
products you're bringing into your home and what you're putting on your body.
Wow, Jody, of course, this is, it's just not just sparking a sense of like a new product, new line of alternative medication, but it's also sparking a sense of, awareness, a sense of um, awareness to the environment, a love for the environment. But more than that, I'm looking at a little bit more, there's raising an awareness for regulation, right? Because
Hmm.
you talk about paraffins. Was it? Did I say
Yeah.
that right?
Yes,
Um,
parabens
a
and phthalates.
billion,
Phthalates is the one that's a 1 billion pounds. Yes.
exactly right. And we're producing way too much of it, and we're putting it way too much on our skin, and that's why we're all getting sick. And it seems logical to feel that these things should be regulated because we put it in our skin. It's very highly produced, but why is it not regulated, right? And I think what you guys are doing is more than just, creating alternative products. You're also raising that perhaps we need to be more aware of these things. How do you see the future going into that? Like, do you agree, or are there any regulations that you're aware of that are being changed in skin and beauty healthcare industry?
Well, I think where the greatest power comes from is the consumer,
Hmm.
because the consumer votes every time they purchase a
Right.
product in terms of what gets reinforced, what gets supported, what gets financially backed. Because where the
Right.
money is in the industry, they're going to go to where the market share is. And so
Of
that's why it's
course.
so important to us, as a family, to be putting this message out there to empower the consumer so that they can be a part of that, escalation as it goes up, to start regulating. And more countries are starting to raise awareness and put in regulations, but it's not near enough. I mean, these chemicals are really
Hmm.
a product of the Industrial Revolution and have only been
Of
around
course.
for, the last 100 years. And
Right.
so it's really going to take the consumer to be involved in it. And for us, pricing was important on the packaging, because for these products, because we wanted it equitable, because oftentimes
Of
in the
course.
natural market, it's for the one percenters. And that's
Of
not going to
course.
change the world. Changing the world is making these products accessible to everyone. And so
Hmm.
my hope is that we'll start to see that shift in general in this space, and then also just from the general consumer being able to be more involved and have accessibility to these alternative modalities.
And that starts with being making it more accessible. And I love that you made that your forefront, made that your priority. And I love that you validated what I said. Like 100 years ago, the Industrial Revolution began. It's now, we're seeing now its effects. And today we are hopefully seeing a botanical revolution where we go back to nature. where we go back to what's natural and what's healthy for us, and hopefully along the way change the world as well. I love this mission of yours, Jody. You've taken a lot of you know rather, you've gone through a lot of stages in your career as a business owner, as a CEO, as a mother, and you've worn many hats. And as an entrepreneur as well, with your personal life, how have you navigated through all this, especially feeling that there's this massive mission of yours? It must feel big at the same time because you're trying to change something so huge that hasn't been thought of before, or like is at its infancy. How do you juggle all of these roles and these hats and at the same time maintain that this is my mission, this is what I want to do?
That's a great question. And, I think, first of all, from our core, our products really
Hmm.
reflect um, our core values, who we are as a family and
Right,
who we are as entrepreneurs, in the sense of bringing transparency, bringing authenticity, philanthropy, making sure that these products are impactful, and obviously
right.
efficacy. And so every
Hmm.
time we product develop, we formulate, we're not picking herbs that are going to damage the planet. And truly, most of these herbs are so sustainable. They don't need a whole lot of water to grow. They're weeds. And the more you
Yes.
harvest them, the more they grow, or they may be great for
Hmm.
regenerative farming and cleaning up
Hmm.
our soil. But then, from there, we obviously, as an entrepreneur, I need to make sure that I'm building a sustainable business, that we are looking at profits and making sure we're being incredibly efficient. Thankfully, from a sustainability standpoint, there are benefits to that, as it benefits the bottom line by being resourceful
Right.
and recycling and looking at it from that fashion. We make sure that we're running very lean and efficiently so that we can offset those, still being profitable and also giving our consumers an attainable price point. Um, and making sure that we can stick around for the long term, so we can
Yes.
continue to impact the planet and the mission and the vision. Our team is phenomenal.
Hmm.
Our culture is so solid, and I think it starts with leadership. I am here to
Right.
serve my team. My team is not here to
Hmm.
serve me. I am here to serve my team and be there
Wow.
for them so that they can show up in their best self. And so they know
Wow.
they are supported. They know we have good communication. I've,
Hmm.
continued education, whatever tools it is for them to live their best life and be able to
Hmm.
reflect that through what we do in
Hmm.
executing, getting these products out the door, is incredible. So we don't have retention. We have, um, you know, I, in so few words, it's like one big family, and I am
Yes.
so grateful for them and their
Wow.
efforts. And I have a theory of, I like the lead from behind model, in the
Okay.
sense of, my spirit animal, wolf, and letting my team be the leaders so that they can
Wow.
exercise their best. And I think
Hmm.
also, in the early days of being an entrepreneur, I did not appreciate the importance of the self work that I needed to do and prioritize. I mean, there is a saying, put the oxygen mask on first. And I felt like that was selfish, and I was like, okay, I have
Right.
to work 18 hours a day and I need to grind at this thing. And I learned that I wasn't serving my team by not being my best self. And so I
Right.
dedicate time to consciousness, mindfulness, being present, doing
Hmm.
my own health and wellness journey from a totality standpoint, from an integrative standpoint, so that I can be present to make good decisions for them, and be able to stay even keel when the stress is
Of
enormous
course.
at times, so that I can be
Hmm.
my best self. And taking that priority in my life, and kind of full circle to
Right.
your question, has impacted me to be a better leader and also a better parent, a better partner, and integrating
Wow.
that into my personal life so that my daughter can see, how to be a healthy entrepreneur and a healthy leader.
Wow.
And I'm grateful for that gift. It's not always fun,
Hmm.
but it serves you so well. And I have so much gratitude for this opportunity.
Wow. It's not always fun, but it's always fulfilling.
Yes, yes.
I bet. What a beautiful message, Jody. What a beautiful message. This is why I ask these questions, and that's why I love to have guests like you on here, because it's not just about across all spectrums of all the guests and all the successes that I've seen. The most common is that they always maintain this core value. The most successful ones always maintain a sense of principle and a sense of, taking care of others around them. So it's not just business. We may be business story of the week, but a lot of times it's also like your life journey, right? Like
Hmm.
how do you take care of others? How do you take care of your family? How do you take care of your own mission and make sure you take care of yourself so you can proceed with that mission and make sure that you keep doing that and take care of others around you. I love that. I love that, Jody. And thank you for bringing that energy today. Jody, it hasn't been a smooth path for you and Spry Life, of course. Um, this is something that has taken years and years and a lot of work. But I do kind of want to wrap this up in such a way where I always ask this question: what is the future for Spry Life? What is the future for Green Goo? But what are also the aspirations of Jodi Scott? How are we seeing the, the skin and beauty care, natural medicine? How are we seeing it in 10 years, 5 years from now? But more importantly, where are you seeing yourself in the future, Jody?
Goodness. So, I consider this sort of the next chapter for Green Goo.
Right.
And,
Mm-hmm.
the plant renaissance, to your point, is here. And we've
Mm-hmm.
spent the last 10, 12 years trying to forge that path. And,
Wow.
the first time I went in front of a buyer at a pharmacy and said, I have a plant based first aid product, they looked at me like, what? and and I think we're here now. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so excited to have been able to continue to bring authentic products over the last decade, and stay the course and serve the customers. And so, this new chapter with Spry Life is very much a rebirth of,
Right.
continuing to give our customers these incredible, products that have efficacy and results and impact the environment, be a stronger voice and advocate for them for these
Wow.
products,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
education, and continue to formulate as we get to know more about this relationship that our mind and our skin have, and formulate
Mm-hmm.
in a manner that takes that a level further. What more nutrients can I bring you?
Of
How can
course.
I, bring in essential oils that impact your mindset, that's so
Yes.
desired while nourishing your skin,
Mm-hmm.
and some great
Wow.
new innovative products as we continue to study the transdermal absorption of your skin and say, hey, here's
Wow.
another way that we can continue to contribute to your overall health and wellness. So I'm excited about this next chapter. And I can take what I've learned in the last decade as an entrepreneur, and,
Uh-huh.
there's gift and opportunities and the challenges that you have,
Of
and
course.
taking them and reinventing them into being a stronger force as an entrepreneur, as a business leader,
Mm-hmm.
and help other entrepreneurs. My hope is, some of the lessons we've learned along the way, I may be able to impart upon, you know, new business owners, and say, hey, don't do this. This may save you a couple years. Um, and offer those services, and even just from a self-development standpoint, bring some of that to the forefront as an integral part of being an entrepreneur.
That's fantastic. And of course, Jody, we are there with you. You say that you like to lead behind, but you are also at the forefront of this, and you are bringing with you such values and principles that, it's guaranteed that you are almost guarantees that you are going to lead this revolution, this plant renaissance, but more than that, change the world with us. And of course, Jody, we wish you all the best in all your challenges. We need a part two of this. We talked a little bit about that before the show. When it comes to the birth of Spry Life and what you guys have gone through, and I think, but that last message of yours for entrepreneurs and business owners, I think it's a perfect message. It's a lovely message, and hopefully we get to tap into that someday, and the same way that you tapped into our consciousness and our awareness that there is hope right now in medicinal plants and there is a revolution happening, and Jody and Green Goo and Spry Life is leading the way. Jody, I'd like to give you this opportunity. Where can we find you? Where are you most active? Where can we buy Green Goo? And where can we find the updates of the journey of Jodi Scott?
Yes, I highly recommend going to greengoo.com. You'll be
Mhm.
able to see all of the brands there and continuous updates of the family. And then, of course, we've got our social sites. Green Goo helps for
All
Instagram,
right.
Facebook. And yes,
Mhm.
this is a to be continued and just the beginning.
Oh, that's just the beginning, and we begin with the end in mind all the time. Jody, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day, all.
Fantastic for audience and listeners out there. See you on the next one.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.